Um, The landowner has every right to request use of his land. A business owner has every right to request that of the city. We have an obligation when people that own land and want to do business in our city to act on that. As the planner had said at the beginning, when people request, we have 60 days to act yes or no. So we have an obligation as a city to act on that, to have the public hearing to do that. Whether people are for it or against it, as a city, we have to hear people out. So I want you to know, because there was some tone maybe tonight that people are thinking we're pushing in this direction as a city, or that the council's doing this. The council is abiding by their legal requirements to listen to property owners and business people. You are taking action because you have rights as residents to speak your part in that. So this is part of the process. Nobody's ramming anything through. They have a right to ask for an amendment, and then the commission considers it and the council decides on it. But this is part of the process, where people get a chance to weigh in and be heard. But we do have an obligation when property owners ask for things, because the other 5 requests that are going to be heard later tonight are property owners that are asking for something that may or may not be in accordance with what their neighbors want. So understand that process. You're a valuable part of that. You're making your voices known. But as a city, we are obligated to listen to everybody and give them a proper hearing. And in some cases, that's going to be you. You're going to want to do something in your neighborhood and want that same proper hearing. So appreciate your participation and understand that this is, as the planner said, a long and deliberate process, so everybody can weigh in on it through public hearings and other opportunities. So again, thank you for your participation.
Okay, get back to us now, what decision we're gonna make here on this request that we have before us here. This started out as spot zoning, and now it's not spot zoning, it's just a complete commercial industrial area that we're looking at. I have one thought to bring before us that, as you know, we're in the process of starting to work on the comprehensive plan. And I understand that's got to be done by January 1st. Is that right, Mayor?
No, I think it's February, March timeframe.
Is it March, planner?
It's not, yeah, it's in 2018.
Oh, it's got to be done in 2018. And my thought is that when we're going to make a big change like this, I'm just throwing this out to you, that I think more people in our community should be involved, because at that point, when we're looking at this, we'll be having meetings here for the public to have input into the comprehensive plan. So it's one thing to look at.
I like the idea of some kind of signage, out in this area, 1,320 feet. I mean, with the large acreage lots, it couldn't be very many people that are known. I'd like to see that increased where it's more visible, all these meetings and everything. I mean, you have somebody changing their one property, they could have 4 20-acre lots next to them, and then only 4 people know about the meeting. I'd like to see some kind of signage or some more easy way people can find the information out.
Like the mayor brought out down in Ramsey, they put these signs up when they're doing this. And hopefully we have that in our ordinance before too long.
But the idea is to get more opinions from residents, and then you can kind of figure out what's best for everybody.
But also we gotta remember that most of the people's concern is the ones that live directly in that area.
Yeah. Well, that's where I bring up the 4 20-acre lots around one lot. You're only gonna let 4 people know. You could have a full street of people that, are gonna be affected by the decision.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, did I hear we went out 1,700 feet on this one?
We went out 1,700 feet, we also contacted Elk River and the city of Ramsey.
So in this case, you know, it doesn't serve the purpose that you're talking about with signage,
Yeah,
but they went the extra when they went back and provided the second public notice. They went 1,700 feet from the property borders in all directions and provided a more comprehensive description of the proposed changes. So again, something significant that affects all of the city residents. We would like to have public open houses, you know, information so residents could weigh in. Obviously, by some means, the residents here got the message and weighed in with their particular opinion in their neighborhoods.
yeah, they had one resident, it sounds like, that shared the information with people. I think it should be the city's job to share that information with the citizens, not rely on a neighbor coming around to tell you.
Do you have any more thoughts from the rest of the commissioners?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just one comment regarding the notification. It is a state mandated statute, that distance of 1320, and also that the city selects one newspaper as their official publication. So always look in the paper too, if you wanna know what's going on. And then regarding spot zoning, that does not apply to this any longer with the 4 parcels involved. It's not a single landowner. We're looking at it more as a district, not singling out certain people. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
To the point, our official paper of record is the Anoka County record, and you can access that online. We have copies at the city offices. Typically, there are copies at Bill's Super Ed as well, but all of our public notices are published in the Anoka County record, and it's accessible online either in letter format. There's a couple of ways you can get it notified. If you just go to Anoka County record, you can have the official publication notifications for the city of Nowthen sent to you electronically. But we do have to publish all of this information for public hearings. Mr. Chair, you have a question?
Can I ask what newspaper you use for the public?
The Anoka County record.
The Anoka County
That's what I
record?
just said, yeah.
And also, you can get information on our website too. There's a lot of information on the website.
If you don't have internet, then.
We do have hard copies available at the city offices, and I believe they are mailed to Bill's as well. You usually see them on the counter. So if you don't have internet, if you have internet, the easiest way is go to Anoka County Record, and they will, newspaper, and they will have all the publications of our notices there. And typically, information like this will be in there as well. But the official website for the city, we always publish it there as well. And for those of you that aren't aware, we do on our city council meetings, you can have, the city staff will email to you our agendas and our meeting minutes in draft form. If you want to keep up on what the city's doing, we have the YouTube. And we also have the availability that you can contact city staff, and they'll put you on an email list and send out the meeting agenda and the minutes for the council meetings. So you can follow what we're doing that way as well. Again, we're growing. We don't have the funds some cities have. We're trying to make sure that we're communicating as effectively as we can and improving along those lines.
Okay, get back to this discussion. Any comments you want to make? Someone would like to make a motion? Commissioner Pearl.
I just want to, I guess, throw out there a conversation about this bringing additional jobs into our town and how it might help some people. People are opposed to this change, I understand. Something else I've been looking at is that we also just removed 80 acres from our C1 commercial zoning, and they are asking now to put about that right back into commercial and industrial. A couple of things that we didn't kind of talk about. They're also, I just keep pinpointing some other things, you know, the ups and downs. It might be a little ahead of our schedule to do a new rezoning, since we do already currently have a lot of commercial land along our main drag here that does have that zoning classification, but is not being utilized for such, and it may be because of the values and or the lack of it going up for sale. So there's a lot of things that I don't have answers to myself, but things I wanted to talk about.
Also, we removed all that over here on the municipal too. How many acres did they remove over there?
They didn't remove any commercial over there. They just, the Met Council's requirement for sewage provision will be coming out of the sewer comp plan. It didn't remove any commercial from
Okay.
that.
You mean Ings?
No, he was asking about the MUSA designation
Got it.
over on the east side of the city. The Met Council sewer requirements. But that didn't change our commercial zonage. It just, those landowners that were within that district will no longer be required to maintain a 10-acre minimum and only develop according to Met Council plans. That's going away. But it didn't change our commercial designation.
That is not the classification, that is not the area I was talking about.
Right. And that's what
Just
the
making
chair
sure
was
it's
talking about.
clarified.
No, we were talking, the 80 acres is down here on 5.
Yes, right off of County Road 5.
Any other thoughts from the commission?
I guess I'll go and say something else. Something else I wrote down during the conversation of everybody is coming up and speaking their opinion was, they like it to stay country, and I understand. It is a great city for such, and our lot sizes do encourage that. But we also don't want to fall behind between the cities around us either. So maybe there's some intermediate way to make this work and find a better plan through working this out.
What about rescue commissioners? What's your thoughts?
I wouldn't have a problem with Bill's building another, gas station in Nowthen. I just don't know if that is the location for it. I think we need to get a handle on where we're putting our commercial and industrial stuff. We have space slotted for it in our comprehensive plan. Let's utilize that space. Or work on centrally locating some industrial commercial area instead of putting it all over the city. Our city's pretty small. I don't think we need that commercial and industrial stuff all over the city.
I agree with you. I have nothing against what they want to do over there. Personally, I think it's a great plan, but I want to do what's best for the city. And the thing, like I said before, we are going to be looking at that comprehensive plan. And this might be the time we should do the study and figure out, maybe there's more, if we would consider that, maybe there's more area over there we'd like to have involved. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Wagner.
As far as a gas station, sometimes I guess a neighborhood gas station is not such a terrible thing. I guess the full area becoming a commercial industrial, I guess is really where, I think it's way too much for that area, that everything around it is heavily residential. You have a designated horse community across the street. I would think this area would be much better served by staying residential, like I say, a small neighborhood thing. Or maybe we need to look at some other classifications as well. We really don't have a retail district where maybe you would have just strictly if it's a gas station and, you know, a hair salon and an attorney's office, that type of thing. But the light industrial, I guess, is the other thing that would attract truck traffic and the industrial uses that I don't think we would want in that area for such a small area that is so much residential around it. Obviously, they feel the same way. We have other areas that are already designated as commercial that are on our main thoroughfare of 22 and the other intersecting highways. To me, that is a much better appropriate place than in the middle of this very heavily residential area. Granted, this is an area that's not developed yet, but it could just easily be back to that 20-acre lots. As housing is coming back, I would think that they would probably sell very well if we wanted to develop that as well.
I hate to ask you comments. Harold, what do you think? Commissioner Jorgensen?
Well, there's a lot of things that enter into this, and probably some of the things we haven't got to is what really caused the root of the problem to locate the store right on that corner, except for the fact that Elk River is all municipal liquor stores. And so I think, in my mind, what they're gonna be depending on is a lot of traffic coming from Elk River out there. Because you know that most individual operators are gonna operate cheaper than the city. The city usually has a way of screwing things up that the costs will be pretty high. And this is probably the driver behind it, because there's other areas that Mr. Rossler owns in the city of Elk River he could easily put to a liquor store, but he probably can't even develop it. Am I not correct? In the Elk River area has any liquor stores. I don't think that they'll allow an individual owned store in Elk River.
I don't know.
No. So that's probably the driver behind this, and I guess we're kind of one big regional community right now is what we are, really. And our city lines don't really have a lot to do with it, except when it comes to city ordinances and things like that. But, you know, as well as I do, that a lot of us probably buy our groceries in Elk River, and we might do our other stuff over in Andover, or, you know. So it's kind of a thing that, even though I don't want it in my backyard, you've got to look at really what's causing all this hoopla about the thing, if you know what I mean. That's where it comes down to. But that liquor store probably would have never been proposed had Elk River allowed one. See, and that's where we're at.
Commissioner Moore, do you have any comments?
So, I don't know, there's just a lot of things to think about on that thing, to level it out. Now, as far as the convenience store, you know, we can use them always, because everybody runs out of milk and bread and whatever. But I did notice that there's probably a religious thing behind this too tonight, because there was different churches that were represented here too tonight. So, and I would expect that. I mean, that's common when a liquor store is usually opened or tries to open, why they'll put their 2 cents worth in. I mean, that's their prerogative, so. And I don't have anything against it, but that's just the way that works, so.
Are you done? Can I talk now?
Go right ahead. talk all night.
I don't know, I guess, I don't necessarily have anything completely against it. I came from Elk River and I would have done about anything to have a gas station and a liquor store right there. I mean, I'm 2 miles, lived 2 miles from there. I don't live in Elk River anymore, and I myself, my husband, my nanny, all drive that road every single day. So this, to me, it's catch-22. I have good and bad thoughts about it. But I also have good and bad thoughts about the residential stuff we're approving, 3 miles down the road. I also have to drive past that every day. This same area, whether it's here or somewhere else, is gonna impact people. I personally at this point don't feel like we have enough information or long-term goals to make a decision, but that's my take.
Okay, anybody else wanna add anything?
As far as traffic is concerned, I think that's a county issue because really the only roads affected by it.
Both roads are county.
Both roads are county, and that we need to get on our commissioner and tell him to get off his butt because we're not getting our fair share of dollars up in this end of the county. And that's a known fact. Because any other counties, the roads look much better than Anoka's do. Anoka's look horrible, especially on this side. If you go over on the eastern side, it's a different story. That's where they're spending their money.
Okay,
So I think the traffic issue is
it's not out of our hands.
pretty much out of our hands and it's pretty much took care of because 64 needs to be rebuilt and that part of Armstrong and Bow needs to be rebuilt. And I mean, that's just a known fact. Because the most they've ever put was a little bit of sand along 64 on the edges. We put that with a salt shaker.
Okay then, does anybody wanna make a recommendation here? I know.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
just a couple quick comments. Keep in mind again that any direction tonight to send this to Met Council for review and to the adjoining communities would be collecting additional information. It's not a binding decision to approve the land use change. As part of the comp plan amendment application, the city engineer typically looks at or does calculations for the proposed land uses so that we have a better idea of how many cars we're talking about. Additionally, we could probably get numbers from the bills in Nowthen and the bills over in Oak Grove, or similar situations. Secondly, don't get too hung up on the commercial/industrial designation. Just think of it as a land use designation for business, because the rezoning, again, is decided later. So we have time to consider whether we create a new district for retail or neighborhood uses, or otherwise limit what may go in there. And I agree with Mr. Jorgensen regarding traffic. The traffic on those two roads has gone up continually in the last 10 to 20 years. And it is a regional thing, for certain. There's already a ton of cut-through traffic from Elk River. And I believe it's just a situation where, we have landowners that are attempting to capitalize on that, so. Good or bad as it may be. Thank you.
Another thing that has happened with 64 is that's a scale avoidance deal too. And a lot of trucks come through there every day, so they don't have to go through the scale when the scale's open. Cause they might happen to get a ticket down there and they can slide through here. And if you go down there, there's just a ton of trucks that probably shouldn't be on that road. I go down it quite a bit myself. An awful lot of trucks that are on there that I have no reason to believe that they can be delivering things out there.
In other words, if this goes through as a vote to recommend to the city, and the city would go ahead with it, this is the first step in, down the road, if we decide some things have to be changed, could they be changed?
If you get comments back from the adjoining municipalities,
Only if you get back comments back.
no, this is not a binding decision. So you haven't decided to change any land use at this point. The only thing that you've decided, if you move it forward, is to make that application for the comp plan amendment and send it to the council for review and the adjoining city. So there's no final decision in changing the land use map at this time.
Okay. Any questions?
One question,
Commissioner.
I mean, if we send it to the Met Council and they say fine, where's it go to after that?
If they say fine, you still can decide not to do it. It's absolutely not binding. You're just getting input, basically. Basically, if they don't have a problem with it, they're just saying that, yes, this proposed change conforms with their regional plan.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
just clarification, this body would recommend to the council to proceed. The council would decide whether or not to send it to the Met Council for their review. So you're simply making a recommendation tonight to the council as to how you'd think, after hearing all of this tonight, you would like them to proceed. The council then decides if they agree with that and proceed accordingly, or if they have a different opinion. But from this body, you need to finish the public hearing, make a recommendation, as Planner Stockman said, either to recommend it, you've got that in the packet, deny it, or some other consideration. And at that point, if it's recommended to go for an amendment to the comp plan, then the council would decide whether to proceed further on that. If your understanding is it's not the appropriate time, with other things going on with the comp plan update, or you strongly recommend it, or strongly recommend denying it, you've got to put together some motion from what you've heard tonight and what you've read in your packets to recommend something to the council.
So, thank you. So we are gonna be looking at redoing the comp, or potentially redoing the comp plan in about 6 months.
Yeah, maybe even
Correct.
sooner. We have to get that process going.
Mr. Chair, the council at our last meeting discussed that we would be starting some public, or some open houses in the month of October, so that residents throughout the city could see what our existing comp plan is and any suggested or proposed changes to that. You as a commission will be participating in that ahead of time if you're recommending any changes to the comp plan as it exists. But we will be opening that to the public we're intending to start in October, and those public opportunities for input, and basically they would be here if it's large enough, or somewhere in the community where we could have all of that laid out so the residents could weigh in on it. And there'll be a variety of ways that'll be communicated, and that'll go on for 6 months probably anyways. If I'm interpreting that right?
Yes.
We're looking for a motion one of 3 ways.
I have one other question, Mr. Chair, for
Go ahead,
Liz.
Commissioner.
I was just wondering if we change the land use for that property, once you change the land use, is it easier to get, or the,
The
Is-
rezoning?
yeah, rezoning? Is it necessarily easier to get that done?
Yeah, the two maps should meld. I mean, you really wouldn't approve a rezoning unless you've already changed the land use.
All right.
I hear lobbying.
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Pearl.
at this time, I'm gonna make a recommendation to set forth to the city council that we deny the change. And I know there's a lot of discussion on each end of this. I'd like to recommend that we deny the change of the zoning for both applicants, Stover and Rademacher.
Okay, we have a motion for denial. Do we have a second for this motion?
Let's second that motion.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion?
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, go ahead.
If this is denied, and you sit down to look at the comp plan, you know, in the next coming months, does this is there the option for this to be revisited, or, I guess my concern is just completely washing it away when, you know, I realize there's areas in Nowthen that have it, and I realize maybe this isn't the best area, and I also, Elk River, there's probably a reason it's here, I get that, and, you know, but does denying it and pushing it aside until the comp plan is looked at, I mean, are those one and the same or not?
You have that option, for sure. The city council and the planning and zoning commission, when we have our joint meetings discussing land use plan, updates and changes, we definitely could include this area, we could revisit it, we could find a completely different area, or do nothing at all to change our commercial industrial. So right, as I said, this was a property owner initiated request. You have the right to deny it or recommend denial, and then reconsider it later or not at all.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, one
Mr.
other
Wagner.
question for Ms. Stockman. Did you by chance look at all at the county's long-range plans to see if they have any plans for improvements on these areas, on these roads?
The roads, no, I don't recall. We did meet with the county. Do you recall, Jeff?
There was nothing designated on this at this point.
They have nothing in their 5-year plan to do anything with any of these roads.
Any,
That is available to the county also, the public
Right,
records.
I wish I would have thought to look at it before the meeting.
No, they don't have an upgrade like they've had on 22, where they put in decent shoulders and proper ditches. But that wasn't in their comp plan update that they shared with us earlier this year.
any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. The motion was to deny it at this time, and it was seconded. So all in favor of this vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Was it all ayes?
Yeah, I'm an aye, sorry, I have a cold.
Okay, there's two ayes there too? Okay, okay, we denied it at this time.
That wasn't so hard, was it?
Hold it, just a minute. This will be going to the city council, and the council will make the final decision. We're just making a recommendation. And that don't mean anything. I've seen them vote the other way too.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Fill the room.
we have two motions to make. I want to be sure that it was
made for
everybody
both.
understands that, right, she motioned for both decisions and then everything. And Walter seconded.
we got business going on here, keep it quiet.
Please.
Okay, just so we're clear, there was two motions, both by
There's
Kelly.
two public hearings.
And I motioned for both of them to be denied. Yes. and Claire
Walter
did.
seconded and then we,
This is
to be
for,
clear, we have the same vote on both
Yes.
applications. Okay.
But I'm here.
okay. We'll go to our next public hearing.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
one thing you have to consider now is typically, in our policy, we don't start new business after 9:30. And because these public hearings were all noticed for tonight, the recommendation is that we would have to open the public hearings and then continue them to a time and date specific. So if you're not gonna get through these tonight, then what you have to do is open the public hearing and then take a motion to continue. And at this point, because you don't re-notice if you continue, your best bet is continuing to the next planning and zoning meeting, and we would have to have a 60-day letter go out.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
Please? I don't agree with just opening and continuing all of them. I would hope that you would take some time and address one or two at least. I have some thoughts as to which ones might better be tabled than others. Some are simple, some are not. So I don't know if you wish to know that and change around the agenda, or if you just want to take them in order that they're listed. Or not do it at all. It's your decision. You may, as Mayor Pilon indicated, open them and continue them.
Chairman,
Yes.
are there any people here representing these public hearings that,
I believe they're all here.
they're all here? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
which ones would you recommend?
I would recommend that we proceed with Mr. Hagelberg, Mr. Elfeld, that Angs are continued. They need to provide additional information at this time based on engineering comments. And Josh Peterson is pretty quick and simple too.
If we're gonna do this, we need to start talking.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
when things come before this commission, I don't think anything's quick and simple.
No,
But when you are talking about changes, two of these are requesting outdoor storage. Again, that is significant, because if you're doing this for two, where do you draw the line? And that's why I think that there's a certain amount of deliberation that's necessary for that. Home businesses, typically you have comments from neighbors. So your only chance to put conditions on IUPs and CUPs is at this meeting. And once they're there, that's what, if you limit them too much, they're stuck with that from here on out. If you are too generous, it's pretty hard to enforce later. So if you have been through your documentation and been out to the sites and are comfortable, it's 25 after 9. If you're comfortable with that, again, you're the commission, you can proceed as you wish. But just remember that when you do conditional use and interim use, there are conditions that go with that bind that property or bind the city for lack of conditions. And you want to make sure you're thorough. So one option is to select some of those to go through all of them, or because we have the public hearing noticed, and without having to renotice all the neighbors again and send out all the new mailings, you would continue to a date and time specific. Or you would address it tonight, have the public hearings, and make a recommendation.
What?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you could ask for a show of hands if you'd like, to see
Yeah.
who wants to continue or just,
Okay, let's show of hands, see who wants to continue with this, and maybe pick out one or two of these and go with them. It's gonna, when I look at them, they're all gonna take some time.
I don't think we're doing our job if we hurry up through them, so.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest to continue, I guess,
Continue?
all of the public hearings.
And what
So
about
we
you
can
here?
probably give time to,
I'll second that motion.
Okay? Okay, looks like,
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
that would
fine.
be the opinion, then my understanding from the lawyer is you would open individually a public hearing and then motion to continue to a time and date specific, and then continue that and go to the next one, do the same thing through all five.
okay, that's what we do. Do I have to read all this stuff or just give the names?
The names,
Okay.
I don't know, from a public hearing, do you need the? I
well,
would-
just
I would
list the
leave it.
project, you don't have to read the whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
But if, Mr. Chair,
I was gonna add something, Mr. Chairman. If you're gonna open all the public hearings, I guess I would maybe still give the opportunity for anybody to comment in case they can't make it to the next meeting, since they are here and stayed to this late hour.
Well, they probably all say that.
I don't know, but I would not mind giving people an opportunity to speak if they need to, and we can still continue each one after we get their comments.
yes, that is what you should do.
Okay,
And then I don't know if the commission would consider a special meeting. You have to keep in mind you're delaying everybody a whole nother month.
The one challenge with that is you need to make sure, because we continue to a time and date specific, that if you're gonna have a special meeting, that all the people that would have to come back for that are available. Because one of the options with continuing is you don't have to renotice all the neighbors. Because they had this opportunity to know there was a public hearing tonight, and they now know that when it's going to be. So if you're going to schedule a special meeting, you have to designate that tonight as part of your continuation. So everybody here knows when that would be. Because if they came tonight and wanted to weigh in on it, they need to know when you're gonna make recommendations.
but then you'd have to notify everybody that, the mailings. If you had a special meeting.
Well, no, you did it. You notified here. If they wanted to speak to it, they'd be here tonight.
Okay,
And so if you closed it, then you would have to re-notify. But if you continue it, this serves as the public notice.
okay.
And the records of this meeting will also serve for anybody who's interested in weighing in.
Okay, then we'll just go ahead, then we'll look at the continuing of these meetings, and the first one will be the public hearing request by J. Hagelberg and Cell City 3 LLC. And I won't read what it's about, but do they want to speak to us if they're here about continue the meeting? Yes,
Well, I'm the representative for that.
okay,
So you should officially open the public hearing.
okay, public hearing's open. And okay, you have any problem with that? I mean,
As far as what?
having it on the, it'd be the 22nd of August?
It pushes everything 45 days. But if that's what we have to do, it just,
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion of this, to continue this meeting?
You have a public hearing open. Does anybody want to weigh in on
Yeah,
what they know on this right now?
I think there's a lot of things to look at.
I'm just saying, does anybody show up tonight with an opinion that they want to express?
Does somebody have opinion?
Question, I guess.
Can you please come up to the podium, give your name and address, please?
I'm Jenny Alders, and we live at 20299 Engen Boulevard, so we're right across the street. And it says that it's proposed for a fence, and we just want to know, is the fence going to be a solid barrier? And will there be a time and date that it's planned to have that fence completed to hide the outdoor storage?
Would you like to speak to the fence?
yeah,
And And I think the other berming that you're presenting as well.
So the fence is 8 foot tall, wood, solid, all the way around. There's about 1,200 linear feet. So, and that was actually the first thing that we would start in August had we gone to the council meeting. So the fence will be completed before anything else because all the lumber will be on the ground. So we have to do that to secure the property.
Okay, and most of your storage will be below that, or will there be a bunch of visible items? I'm assuming some of the tiny houses will show above that, or what?
Some will, there'll be a model unit, there'll be 2 model units on the site, and then anything above the 8 foot mark would, of course, show. So,
Okay.
My understanding is that you're planning on building the homes, storing your equipment in a building.
yeah, so we'll build in the building, but if we had to move it outside or something, you know, there'll be materials, also that could be stored outside, so, realistically, anything above the 8 foot mark, we couldn't go to 10 because the engineers couldn't approve it because of the ground. Otherwise, we would have gone to 10 feet, but the water table's too low in that area.
Okay.
So this is wrong, this is 10.
Yeah, this says 10 feet.
No, it's 8 feet tall, fence is.
Yep.
This is 10 foot.
I don't know what you're looking at.
The planning and zoning agenda for the public hearings is 10 foot.
Oh, it
solid
does.
fence is proposed.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
between the time the public hearing was noticed and we got final plans from Mr. Hagelberg, it was changed. So it wasn't originally intended at 10 and then it was changed to 8 because of the engineering, so apologize for that.
Water table on that property is anywhere from 9 to 12 feet below current.
Okay.
So it's not actually a wood fence, a wood fence anyway.
And proposed landscaping, did you have plans there?
Not much on the outside because the frontage from where the ditch is currently 40 feet back is a drainage easement, so we really can't do a great deal in that area. The fence will come 10 feet off of 201st, and that'll be grass. On the back side of the property, from where the evergreens are currently at to the back of the fence, there's 85 feet there. Most of that will be used for drainage, and then there'll be a row of evergreens on both sides of the fence, so people can't drive through in winter or ATV it through or anything like that. Inside the fence, we actually already have purchased about 15 trees, some from the local nursery, and then a bunch of shrubs that were supposed to go in, of course, in August. But other than that, that's most of it will be grass, and then whatever's in the ditch will be cleaned up.
Okay. I think that's my only concern with just knowing that we can look right out our window and see, you know, I think the fence is awesome, but just being able to know that some of our view might be occluded with, you know, for the storage and some of that. I think that would be our only concern is how that's going to look and, you know, so.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to continue this meeting?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just one more question. Mr. Hagelberg, what is the maximum height you told me for the tiny houses?
A tiny house can be 13.6. We found with what is best is about 13 feet, just because that's a typical height of a semi. When you get to 13.6, it's harder to pull under some, when you're filling up for gas. You have about 3 inches of clearance. So most likely, most will be around between 11 to 13 feet.
And you told me, I believe, that you build to specs. I mean, you build.
Right, so if you were a customer and that someone else was a customer, you may be totally different. Right now, we talked to someone on Saturday and they want 13 feet. I've spoken to someone else that wants 11 feet because they're doing one level. So it just everyone's different on what they want, whether they want to climb up into a loft or they don't want to climb into a loft. It just all depends.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion to continue this meeting, public hearing?
I would move to continue the public hearing.
Somebody second it?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Time and date. Needs time and date.
We need, this would be the
Continue
22nd,
to our next,
22nd of August.
next scheduled
Yeah, 22nd of August.
meeting.
We have, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, the next public hearing is a request by Tony and Denise FL for an indoor use permit to allow home extended business on a 5-acre property. And I see you're here, Tony.
I am.
Okay. Do you have any problem with this to
Officially open the public
Well,
hearing.
I would prefer to do it tonight if that were possible.
well, I think
But if it's not possible, then
it's a lot of discussion that's gonna take place there. So, we'll open this public hearing for this, I should have did that first. Do we have a motion to continue this?
You wanna hear anything from anybody who's here?
Is there anybody here opposed or for this? Tony has, for your intern permit?
I'm here to speak in favor of my request. A couple of my neighbors are here to speak about the request.
Okay,
Please, come on up. Come on up.
does the neighbors want to speak up?
Greg Peterson, 7077 Old Viking Boulevard, Northwest. I know, Tony, we've talked this permit over. We read it, and I think we've come to an agreement with Tony that we're okay with this permit being approved. Other than one thing that's on there is we requested there be no live auctions. So as far as any type of pickup at his home, that's okay with us as neighbors. I'm speaking for 4 people that have driveways within 75 feet of his home.
Okay,
So we're good with it as long as there's no live auctions.
so does the neighbor wants?
My name's Patrick Henry Giles. I live at 7141 Old Viking Boulevard, right across the street from Tony, on the bend. And like Greg said, I'm on board with everything but the live auctions. I live on that bend, and I drive that thing numerous times a day. Every time I pull in my driveway, I have white knuckles pulling in my driveway, only because of that these people coming both ways. September 20th, last year, 2016, I got T-boned in my own driveway, T-boned. I got a Super Duty truck. I couldn't get out of the truck. These kids hit me, backed out, took off, and I couldn't even get their license number. So I reported it into Anoka County. So again, what Tony's doing, I'm in agreement, as Greg said, but the live auctions, there's that traffic around that bend. It's pretty shameful, and I have to go around that bend every day, and my knuckles turn white just because they're 50 miles an hour coming around there. Coming out of my driveway is a piece of cake. So the traffic is a big concern to me, the density of the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Would somebody like to make a motion to continue this meeting?
I'd like to make a comment about this.
Yeah, well, I know you live over there.
Yeah, I do. I worry about the increased traffic, even without the live auctions, selling on eBay and Craigslist. Even people coming to pick up stuff from the auctions. I don't know how much increased traffic that's gonna be. The amount of numbers he sells, or the number of items he sells, I'm not sure about. So I'll have a chance next time to speak about it too.
Thank you, Skip. Somebody like to make a motion to continue this public hearing to August 22nd?
I'll make a motion to continue it to the next meeting, August 22nd.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion made second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to the next public hearing, a request by Tim and Rena Ing for final plat approval. Are the Ings here?
Yes, we are.
Okay, would you like?
Yes, we would be opposed to going to.
Huh?
We would be opposed to going to the next meeting.
You wouldn't be opposed?
We would be.
You would be opposed, okay. Well, I can understand that too.
We brought our surveyor here to go over some of the land issues that were happening. speak for us better.
Let's open the public hearing.
Okay, public hearing's open. Go ahead.
My name's Eric Vicarius, and if anybody has any items of concern, I guess I'm here to address for things.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Planner Stockman, did you say there was something outstanding?
Well, this engineer had requested a few changes. Those can certainly be addressed before the next meeting, I think. There was one question about they platted it, they were proposing to plat the temporary cul-de-sac as an outlot. And the city engineer and I didn't necessarily like the idea. We think it would be better in city control. And I know previously we've allowed some type of agreement, and maybe Mayor Phelan remembers, or Commissioner Wagner, I don't know if it was just called an easement agreement, which allowed them to use the land for pasture or whatnot, you know, until such time as the street is built in the future, but the city still has, you know, rights to it or whatever. And then the only other real discussion about the cul-de-sac itself was Shane had recommended that it be extended to go to the end of the second lot. In doing so, that will exceed our 1,000-foot cul-de-sac limit. But I do think that is okay, especially for a temporary cul-de-sac. And that could also be addressed at the time of, you know, if and when it's ever constructed, so. I don't see that as insurmountable.
Do you oppose deeding any land or that cul-de-sac? We still just want 2 lots. I mean, we have our lot lines made, you know, where the houses wanna go. We got a letter from Shane about a cul-de-sac or a culvert, but we can't decide what that is without the approval of getting our lots. So we're opposed to deeding any land to the city or that cul-de-sac. We just want 2 5-acre lots so our kids can build their houses. And we've been working on this project for 2 years, and we got close to $20,000 into it, with no word on yes or no. And keep to the land, it'll be winter, I'm gonna have a house full of kids for 1.5 years. So the sooner we can get this project, it's a pretty simple project in my thought.
May I suggest, Mr. Chair, that see what the options are with the city attorney? I mean, if he is okay with that, or have a discussion regarding that, how that road is dedicated or established.
Plus, we need an engineer's report, right?
Well, right, and we'll get some of those other, housekeeping that we take care of, that the city engineer asked for, that's not a problem.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we did not get a copy of the engineer's report?
No. We understand, no.
It was just in the last couple days.
And she's suggesting that we talk to a lawyer first, because he doesn't agree with what they want on that line.
I would think the committee could use that report as well to have that information. We don't know what all he had in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, somebody want to make a motion to continue this one?
Did you want to hear any other input before you?
Is there any other input from anybody else? Oh, yeah, there's, the son's here.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Carlston. I live at 19447 Nowthen Boulevard. As someone with a career in law enforcement, I understand a thing or two about giving back to the community. So first of all, thank you for being here, especially this late hour on your own time. I truly understand that. I want you to know, despite what's on the paper or the reports you get, Mr. Commissioner, we are, and I understand you guys have a long-term plan here. I want you to understand, especially, you know, the theme going on here tonight.
despite this talk about a road and development, we use these words and you think of, massive housing complexes and many, many homes. I can tell you that's not gonna happen, despite what's on your paper. I gave up the life I knew down in the suburbs. We just moved up here several months ago. My wife was also here with our 2 kids. Unfortunately, it just got too late. We want that small town feel. As my father-in-law said, we are just looking at 2 5-acre plots, a single-family home on each, no outbuildings, nothing else like that. I invite you to come to their property, or our current property now, and look at what we've done with it. We're not looking to make this huge area. They put up a barn. It's beautiful, and near the intersection of where it is, it's gorgeous, and that we're looking to stay on that theme. So I'm getting a little long-winded going in circles for that. I apologize, but again, we're looking to keep this simple. Don't get too wrapped up in the reports you do get. If you do have questions, obviously, I would gladly leave my phone number. You're welcome to come to the door. Let us know. We just want to make this happen. We want that small town life, and that's why I picked up my family and we moved up here. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, we gave you the opportunities. Does somebody want to make a motion to continue this meeting? This public hearing?
Can I just ask a question? So each house has its own driveway going onto the road anyways. This road is strictly for future development?
Yes, we've been approved by the county for 2 driveways.
That was my next question, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just to clarify, we're not requiring the cul-de-sac to make their lives miserable. We are requiring that because it is in our ordinance.
Yes.
And we have done so for others. So we do have to figure out a way to make it work in accordance with our regulations. And we'll, like I said, I think talking with the attorney for what the options may be and the city engineer would be a good idea.
And it is a minor subdivision, right?
It is,
No,
well,
not really.
not really,
Not
because
a
they're
sub-
platting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are platting it.
We're not contractors.
There's really only 3 lots, you know, 4 if you count the one on the other side of Nowthen Boulevard, but.
The only frustrating part is, this ghost road that's planned for the future, that I can tell you, despite what you would like, it will not be built in my lifetime, or probably my kids. Where my wife and I would preferably put our small single-family home is unfortunately right where this road goes through. Just one of our frustrations.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to speak on my personal behalf as well, just because I went through this 2 years ago with this board as well, what you guys are going through. And yes, we had to deed a chunk of our land to the city as well for future roads, even though we were against it at the time as well, but we had to as well.
Can I ask, did it go right through your property?
Yeah, we went through, no, because we had 2 parcels, and on one side was one parcel and one side was the other parcel. So we ended up working out a pretty good deal where it divided the 2 parcels for us.
And I think it should be noted, again, sorry to stop, yeah, I'm not opposed to the road at all, or deeding the land at all. Again, my frustration is just where it's located. I guess they call it a prime spot. It's a gorgeous piece. If we just move that anywhere else, it would be so preferable.
With moving it though, you run into some severe issues with your lowland.
Visibility too on Nowthen
Well,
Boulevard.
yeah, that too, on coming up to 5, because I've been here my entire life, so I know the property pretty well, so I know
Not so much
it's
where it
tough.
meets Nowthen Boulevard, I have no problem with that, just where it kind of bends and goes through the property.
Do you feel that there's a better location for it?
I think it's something that could definitely be looked at. I'd be willing to put in the time and money.
Really?
I just don't understand how the plan you got buy the property, it's yours, I know. Years ago, you could buy property, tell them, we'll put a house here, put a house there, and the city couldn't say, no, we gotta put a road there. I mean, it makes no sense. 8 acres, you should be able to just,
I know.
so, 2 5-acre lots and put 2 houses, I mean, it's.
I know your feelings.
It's
I know. I understand.
absolutely ridiculous that you gotta go through all of this just to try to make nice houses for
Well,
family.
even in 100 years, if the road goes in 100 years from now, those 2 houses can be bulldozed down. I would pay to pull those down. I'll be dead, but I'll escrow some money.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
to the planner, the difference between Kelly's lot is you weren't both accessing 205th, you were using a central driveway and with the potential.
We had to.
Okay, but the question I have here is with both of these properties, the county agreeing that they can come out onto the county road, would the requirement for this road be really only if they develop anything further here? I mean, at this point, if they have access directly to the county road, if they change their mind and decide we do want to develop something else, the road would have to go in at that time. But does it need to be at this time? Or what is the reasoning for it being at this time if both those driveways have permission to access onto the county road?
Right, well, it'd be a precedent situation. So if we allow 2 lots without the provision of local street access, I don't even know if the county would necessarily approve that, other than what they call temporarily. But we required others to do this. It's in the ordinance, and so we would typically allow, they have 2 parcels, so they basically have 2 buildable rights. One is the house they built a couple years ago, and the second would be, one of these others. And then they're getting into a third, so that kind of opens up a whole other can of worms as far as street access. The city, without having rights or establishing rights to a future road there, it's difficult to get that at a later date. It's a question that.
Chair, even after establishing this road, like she stated, they don't have to actually physically put it in. It's just deeded to the county and it can be farmed and used. But they can't build a building on the road or in its right of way.
Yeah, deeded to the city, right?
Yeah, that's the only difference.
May I comment on the road?
Yeah.
Liz, you said it's, in the future, it may be difficult to get access to the road, where if lot 1, the big lot, if that was ever developed in the future, it would have to be replatted, and at which time it's replatted, the city would have to approve the plat, so that plat would have the newly dedicated road. So by the city requiring platting, I feel that the city's already protected, and Outlot B, the mythical roadway, shouldn't be required at this time, because if lot 1 ever gets redeveloped, it has to all be replatted anyways. So the point's kind of mute. We already have access, required access and frontage along Nowthen Boulevard. So the way I see it, but the city code's already been, we already meet all the criteria.
Well, typically, if you're gonna have a replat later, you would plat such as an outlot. But the big parcel can't be an outlot because it already has a structure on it. There are situations where we've required people to extend a cul-de-sac to get just one lot in the city. And they've had to build it. So, you know, I understand it's somewhat of a burden and maybe doesn't seem logical in some ways. But, you know, let's get you, you know, a more detailed explanation. Let's talk to the attorney and the city engineer, because I know the city engineer is, you know, pushing for the establishment of that right away. He has in the past, and he is treating you no differently than he has treated others, just like Kelly stated. But I can't at this time.
I just wish that 2 years ago, when we started this, that the council would have said, no, we won't allow you to do this. We wouldn't have done it.
We wouldn't have put $1.5 million in what we got so far.
But we went on the word of what we heard. And that to me is big. So are you saying that we could right now build one home? Without the one additional?
Without the provision of public street access.
So if we go and we build one, sell the house that we have now, and start somewhere else. That's what I'm hearing. Because I don't know how long this is gonna go on.
I'm not saying it's a be-all, end-all, but I think we can use the time additional time that we've been mandated to try to figure it out.
They go on 2 years.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay. Somebody like to entertain a motion that we continue this meeting on August 22nd? I so moved. Somebody second it?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
One
Yes.
more question. Liz, it has to do as much with road frontage as part of the issue as well, or not?
Shane had asked that the cul-de-sac be extended to the end of the second lot. It only goes about halfway right now.
Right.
So we don't have 150 feet on that future cul-de-sac.
And making that adjustment to a lot B to satisfy city engineer's request. If it is indeed dedicated as a lot B, that's not a concern for the Ames. I mean, we can certainly push that concept all over, so.
Would it be of any benefit to have, I mean, lot one just be around the existing house and have the whole back end be an outlot? Or all with outlot B, the whole rest of the property? I guess, I don't know if that'd be helpful or not, I guess, if, as far as, not having to dedicate it as being an outlot. If everything else was left, or planned to be undeveloped, it's still not a platted lot.
Well, technically, it doesn't matter if we make it outlot B or if we create 20 separate outlots back there. They're all mythical anyways.
Right.
So, I mean, if we have to plat 20 mythical lots just to get it through, I mean, we can.
My question was, would it make any difference of it having to be dedicated to the public? If it was all remainder, there's that piece of road and the rest of it is outlet.
Well, if outlet B, if that was technically dedicated as right of way, then the public could enter upon that property at any time.
Right.
Use it for ingress, egress, whatever, they could access the property. And the intent of buying 80 acres was to have some personal privacy.
Right.
So they need
Right. I was wondering if that was a vehicle to help you keep it as outlet B instead of being public right of way.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a clarification that, so, Planner Stockman, you're saying that the cul-de-sac being designated as Outlot B? Because parcel 1 is the existing home, parcel 2 and 3 are the new homes. Are you saying that if you disregard that cul-de-sac, since they both have access to the county road 2 and 3, you can't make the rest of the acreage an outlot as it's platted?
No, I actually think that might be helpful.
If they made the rest of the acreage an outlot, would you still need to have this road? So I mean, I can understand you don't want to have a public access to your 80 acres.
Right.
People will take advantage of that.
No, I think it may help the situation if the large majority of the property is an outlot, because you can't build on an outlot. So even if you picked up and left and sold outlot, whatever, they have to come back for a subdivision before there's any building permits issued. So at that time, then you could consider the road and or future lot arrangements. So it may very well help the situation.
So if they declared the rest of that acreage outlot, they wouldn't have to designate this road at this
Well,
point?
I'm not saying for certain, but I've seen similar things done. I would like to consult with the city engineer.
Okay, because that would certainly seem to take care of this. Because then if they ever do change their mind, or their grandkids change their mind, they would have to come back, and at that point, designate as they develop the whole thing. But that way, they could work around the existing homes that were there, and they don't have to have this saddling right now.
Right, and since you're platting anyway, adding a lot's not that big a deal. So it's not like we have to stay 3 or less.
So regardless if we make half of it an outlot or all of it an outlot, if we combined lot 1 and outlot B, we just called it all lots 1, 2, and 3, the city's rights would be protected from any future development, because any future development would require a plat, and in which case, at the time of the platting process, the right-of-way, the drainage and utility easements, the things that the cities needs, their interest would be protected by the platting process. So whether we make a mythical outlot be included all as one, I mean, we're kind of playing with monopoly money when just.
But it gets the road and the public access out of it.
Say that?
It gets the road and the public access out of the equation at this
Yes.
point, until the Yangs decide, and sometime in the future, they might want to develop. But for right now, it eliminates this, and it doesn't invite anybody to have any access to their private property.
Our idea originally was suggested that we dedicate the right of way, and things were strongly opposed from dedicating outlot B as right of way. So we suggested that instead of doing outlot B, or instead of doing dedicating right of way, we'd create outlot B, and things would still retain title ownership to outlot B. However, make it contingent, or make a developer agreement or something. You said you're gonna check with the city attorney, I believe.
Would a
But
developer
the reason
agreement even be
for
necessary?
Making outlot B was to create a specific legal description to protect the city's rights, if it ever were further.
And I think the discussion we just had would be that would be, because before it could be developed, that's when that would come into play. And if you don't ever develop, it's a non-issue. If you develop, then you have to pay the piper at that time.
Exactly,
Are you
think it's all
following this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all the same. If we just plat lots 1, 2, and 3, the city's interests are already protected for future development, because any future development would require a plat. And at which time the right-of-ways and the drainage and utility easements and such will be dedicated.
Does that make sense to you, Liz?
Yeah, I think it might work. I don't know if Attorney Rupe's gonna want a development agreement. I have no idea. We haven't had a situation like this, I don't believe, since I've been here, so.
Well, we definitely would sign anything saying we are not going to develop it. And if we ever do, then we come back.
Right, and that's what the outlet does, if that's the bigger piece, and I am comfortable with it. I just need to talk to Shane about it, and, but, I mean, you're a surveyor, Eric, you know, it's all about the details, right?
Yeah, and then, there's one more thing on this Shane's letter, city engineer's letter, which some of you guys evidently didn't see or got that. But there is outlet C. Outlet C and the Ings are willing to either deed outlet C to the adjacent landowner or dedicate that as right of way, as that's a little remnant parcel, you know, of no value to them. And
Where is C?
outlet C is at the northwest corner.
Teeny little tiny ones.
Right,
Oh, yeah, here.
Right there.
Oh,
just
Isn't that funny?
It was
Thank us later.
It was in
Really?
Shane's complex.
I haven't been mowing it.
There's quite a few.
I did not catch that.
I
That's
don't
funny.
Right
know
down the five
how
down.
fast we can get this going because winter's coming.
Used to be a school.
And the builders, you got the same builder and jumping at the bit. So time is really a major factor here.
Any further
Chair?
discussion?
So with what you need from the engineer and the attorney, is the commission able to make a recommendation based on conditions? If they agree that the bigger parcel being an outlot would suffice, can they deny, or not vote for the continuation and do something contingent on the attorney and the engineer, or is that too dangerous?
Yeah, I guess I'm not really comfortable doing that without speaking to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does what you guys all need to figure, not you, but need to figure out, change where the houses and driveways are going?
No, probably not. No.
Just takes that road out.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor here, and any just further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Would you please remind me what the vote is?
Motion?
Or to continue the motion?
Motion
Okay,
to
all right, thank you.
Continue the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Continue the meeting.
I wouldn't ask a bunch of questions, I didn't know.
You still want to discuss?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go to the next one. We're sorry, the office came up in July. Next one is a request by Josh Peterson for a conditional use permit. Is Josh Peterson here? You're Josh?
I'm here.
Okay.
Would you like me to discuss it, or?
Yeah, you want to come up?
Well, let's open the public hearing.
Just, it's an open, the public hearing's open. You're,
So I'm just proposing to add 2 additional units and outside storage on the current mini storage property that's here in Nowthen. It's approximately, one building is 90 by 100 and the other building is, or excuse me, I'm sorry, it's 24 by 100 and the other one is 90 by 24. So ultimately I feel that I fall within the setbacks, and I don't know what else, I guess there is to this, I haven't done this process before, so.
okay.
That's what I got.
Okay, you're okay with us to
I'm not okay with.
continue the meeting? We don't have much choice.
But wouldn't it be fun just to just talk about it now? So we're done with it?
It's gonna take a lot of time. There's a lot of things there that we gotta cover.
Liz did mention that it was a piece of cake, so if everyone wants cake.
Please. Anyway, I'd open it for, continue the meeting to August 22nd. Anybody want to make that motion?
Is there anyone here?
Huh?
That's-
Yeah.
Is there anyone else here?
Is there anybody else who wants to hear about from you, or your side? No, evidently not, no. Someone, well, I make the motion, somebody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and there's one more public hearing, but that one doesn't have to be acted upon, because it has to do with a subdivision amendment. So, there's one,
From the attorney's point of view, do we still have to,
We still have to open that too.
because
Yeah.
you've
we
noticed
don't
the
have to-
public hearing.
Oh, we still have to open,
We'll
okay?
continue that one as well.
Okay, we'll open the last public hearing having to do with the, request for a subdivision ordinance. Does somebody, well, it's open now. There's no, somebody
A motion
discussion?
to continue?
Yeah, somebody might make a motion to continue.
I make a motion to continue.
I'll second it.
Motion, want to second this?
I'll second it again.
Okay, Commissioner Moen seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the last thing is just for one thing. Who wants to make the last motion?
Harold, you should do it.
Harold, before you fall asleep.
He's doing all this talking tonight. I think he should do it.
Move to adjourn?
Yes, you moved to adjourn? Somebody second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, found the bill, we adjourned. We're sorry that went through this, but it would have been, we'd have been here all night if we had to go through it.
This is iguana. Yeah. This is your current access.
We've never had this happen before.
We could clip over there. These are the two new buildings. So 100 feet.
Okay, so they're in front of you.
Correct.